Hi everyone, welcome to The Superficial Spirit, where we explore how pop culture affects our spiritual experiences. My name is Peter Breeze. Join me while we ask a very important question. What the hell did pop culture do to me? Superficial Spirit. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm super excited about today's show. We are talking to the author of a book called Bridging Science and Spirit. Honey, I'm about 3/4 of the way through the book and I absolutely love it. It is basically trying to quantify spirituality, human consciousness, the power of intent to influence physical reality. So anybody who is interested in the law of attraction, this is a really interesting topic and conversation and exploration, because for a lot of people, the law of attraction resonates with them. When you read about it and you hear about it, it feels like this has to be true, that you can create your own reality based on your thoughts and your feelings. When I first read about that through Abraham Hicks, and Hay House and all of those books, I knew without a doubt that it was real. Now that it's been some time since I first read the books, I feel like they leave out some important pieces. Like, yes, it's important to visualize the reality you want and be confident that you can do it and believe that it's possible, but you also have to fucking do the work. And I feel like that, for me anyway, was something that was missing. Like, I would spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours meditating, waiting for opportunities to come, waiting for money to arrive. And I was taking a really passive approach to creating a life that I loved, and it didn't work. And now my approach is different. I still meditate, but I meditate because it makes me feel better. It improves my mental health and clarity. And when it comes to manifesting specific things, I approach it more of goal setting. I believe that I can do something and I move towards it. And I take a more active approach. I still believe there is magic and wonder and things that I can't explain in the universe. And I haven't let go of that magical quality. Like, the whole tingly thing and the concept of you can create any reality you want made me so excited and makes me so excited. And that's why, even though there may be some problems with the self-help books and The Secret and things like that, because they miss it, maybe they leave out important pieces, or put too much pressure on a person to create the life they love, when maybe there are circumstances beyond their control that are contributing to your life situation. But I still think if something makes you feel good and inspired, you should hold on to that. Take what works and leave the rest. And today's guest is going to be a great person to talk to about that, because she spent a lot of time investigating, scientifically, is this real? Can you create and affect reality with your mind and with your intention? So without further ado, I can't wait to start this conversation. Please welcome Nisha. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Peter. Hello. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm outside. Let me just put my volume up. I can hear you.
Great.
And
Oh, it's so sunny there.
Huh?
It's so sunny there.
Well, it's actually really chilly, so I've got my jacket on, but I can remove. I want to be respectful of how you like for your guests to look, okay? So
I think you look great. I mean, I love that there's some greenery in the background, and where I live in Toronto, it's wet and rainy and gray. So I'm happy to see some sunshine.
Okay. Well, thank you, Peter, for having me on your show. You reached out to me out of the blue, and it was so fun because I could feel your it was like I'm getting goosebumps, by the way, like a
Oh, wow.
real lovely enthusiasm. And I don't go on shows easily. I've refused many because there's all kinds of people reaching out, and I don't know always their well, I shouldn't say this. I don't know their motivations. I don't know their
Yeah.
levels of consciousness. I'm very serious about that. And I think you read in pillar number 2 that there are levels, and we have to be aware of that, and discernment is very big in my books. So anyway,
Yes.
so enough of that.
Yes. I'm so happy that you got back to me and that we're able to discuss your book and just your experience, because I'm glad you feel my enthusiasm, because the best way for me to describe my spiritual journey has been like when I was really young, I just had this knowing that there was something bigger than me. I felt a calling. I believed that anything was possible. And I sort of let that be my navigating tool inside of me. And then later in my 20s, when I learned about manifesting and the law of attraction, then it was like I was reading about something that I had already been doing in my life, and finally there was words to put to it, and I never once needed any scientific proof. I didn't care. I just knew that it was real. And
Yes.
now with the podcast, I started it because I wanted to explore how pop culture affects our spirituality,
Yes.
celebrities and social media and, the superficial things that inspire us, like wanting to be famous or making a lot of money. I have found there's a lot of spiritual meat there that keeps me
Yes,
inspired.
actually, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right. And sometimes we have iconic movies, and I haven't watched this, but The Matrix is one of them. How do you figure out the gifts that you are? That's psychoenergetics. Okay, psychoenergetic means siddhi. Siddhi means Sanskrit word for powers. We are latent beings who have Christ consciousness. And so we're able to fly, we're able to remote view, all of that. But I don't know where we're going with this conversation if you want in your podcast, but we can even have more than one if we feel that is right. Okay, we have to
Okay.
flow with it. Whatever the divine wants, that's what we do. It's
I
about
think that.
divine will. It's not about me or you. It's about serving the greater good. And I think that's the big message. And that's what I felt with you. Okay. I was very curious about superficial spiritual. I thought, whatever, but you calibrate strong. I just give you my insider feeling. And so I go with it. Yeah, this is between you and me. I'm giving you some of my processes as a scientist and learning that our acupuncture system is a connection to the divine, okay? So if I go weak and strong, it is my gauge to, oh, I'm on the right track. Okay, anything that makes me strong, my muscles strong, and you can keep that bit if you want, is that we have this indicator. And then I tested it and verified that this is not nonsense. This is not nonsense. This is our gift that nature is in us. It's a symmetry rule. And you'll come to that. You're in page number 200 of the book.
Mhm.
You have much more to go. And when you reach the pillar number 7, wow, now you can bridge science and you can bridge spirit. And they're equivalent. They're on the same playing field. I often joke that Buddha is my partner in science.
I
He's my
love that.
partner in science because I could see what happened and I described those experiments. And by the way, His Holiness the Dalai Lama is aware of this work, okay? But we're not mature enough. Even I'm not mature enough. We have much growth really to happen in our consciousness. We have to grow in our awareness to give meaning to these things. Otherwise, well, we'll just crawl around in our kindergarten worlds.
Exactly. And what do you think about people like me who feel a natural knowing and don't necessarily need the validation from science? So when I go about my life, I'm living by these rules that resonate with me on a natural and
Yes.
spiritual level. And then I encounter books like yours that are attempting to bridge the gap and succeed in doing that. How important do you think it is for everybody to prove this and to quantify spirituality and consciousness?
Well, science has a role to play in modern life. But we have forgotten our spirituality, what we really are as human species. We're not animals. We're not plants, but we are intelligent beings. And so when you speak of something has great meaning for you and you don't need the science to prove it, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I would advise you, go with the truth that you feel intensely. And how do you know that you're on the right track? I'll tell you this, and highlight this, okay?
Okay.
If it brings you great peace and freedom, you're on the right track. And that's
Mm.
what scripture offers us. Contemplative practices, reading the life of Master Jesus or the life of Buddha, these are avatars. They're pointing the way forward for us to grab a pathway. All I'm saying is science actually joins there. Science was never separate, and science does not need to cage us. We have just made cages by our own constructs and limited thinking. So I'm saying let's bust those out. Let's bust those cages and let's see that science and spirit are equivalent ways to self-knowledge. What
Yes.
does self-knowledge mean? Know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
Know yourself. Know your consciousness. Become familiar with your inner conversation. Know it and release the limitations. You cannot release limitations unless you go there and look at them. Okay? So science is important. In my life, I'm a medical doctor, so science is important. And at the bedside, I teach my patients these things, that who you are and what you are desiring for your health has great meaning. We will do medicines, but bring these other aspects into your healing. Prayer, intention. I'm going to show you some techniques for energy medicine. I actually build this program individually at the bedside.
I think that's amazing that your patients have access to you and you're able to round out their care with this kind of knowledge because it is so important. What do you think about, especially with COVID right now, there are a lot of people who are feeling that they do not necessarily want a vaccine, or they're feeling and their intuition is telling them that the virus isn't real. So at what point do you, like, how do you regulate your intuition about when it comes to science? If a doctor is saying you need to take this medicine or you're going to die, but then the person is feeling like, I don't know, I feel like I can heal my body. I've believed this for so long, and they really have the internal struggle of accepting science over faith. It's
This is
hard.
such an important question, and I come across this on a daily basis with my patients who have arthritis. I'm a rheumatologist, and many times I'm an integrative rheumatologist, so I do complementary and integrative medicine to help people with chronic diseases. And many times they want to heal themselves naturally, but there is a place for medicine. So here's my suggestion for the COVID-19. I call it the life kit. You have to have science, good rational science, and good spirituality. So what does science tell us? And this is what I tell my patients. And this is science. This has been shown. This is not hocus pocus. Oh, I'm not pulling numbers out. Take your vitamin D. Vitamin D, a simple nutrient, will rev up your immune system. That's chemistry. And that's shown to be true. Okay, take 5,000 international units of vitamin D, and in Toronto, this is important. You don't
Yes.
have sunshine. Just take vitamin D. You don't need fancy lab work. You don't need a doctor to tell you this. Take vitamin D, now add zinc to it. Zinc, a simple mineral, 200 milligrams of zinc. Again, very beneficial. I add a couple more nutrients to that, selenium and vitamin C. If you get a sunshine, go and bathe in the sun. Wear the right clothing and go and expose yourself to nature and some sun. That's wonderful science. Then wear your face covering. Let's not be silly about this. Wear a good mask, cover your nose and mouth, and go out. Now let's look at the spiritual aspects. We've got the science. We're talking about the life kit for COVID-19. Spiritual practice. What do I tell my patients? Breathe. Watch the anxiety come up. Watch it. Stay with it. Now breathe. Breathe in. Breathe out. I practice this. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Watch the anxiety. Where is it tight? Breathe in and out. Now, this is really key. The heart is our finest register. The heart is our finest register. Drop the awareness from the breath now down to your heart level. Stay there and watch the anxiety. It will start to dissipate. Done the science. Do the spirit. Join them up. Okay? What does breathing and heart focus really do? Actually, it revs up the subtle energy systems in your body. Wow, that's where the juice is. That's the internal spark plug. You are priming yourself for the biggest, you might say, defense mechanism, the internal PPE.
Love that.
You've done the external stuff. Yes. Now you're bringing in the internal stuff. Okay. And when you join these two together, you're now positioned yourself. You are empowering your own mind and your own physical systems to line up. Don't be fearful. Let go of fear. You're always protected. That's your life kit. Yes.
Yeah. And I feel lucky that what you're saying resonates with me. The breathing, it's funny that you bring up the breathing because my anxiety always manifests in my lungs. And I've gone to my doctor so many times and I'm like, I need to get my lungs checked. I have lung cancer. She's like, Peter, it's anxiety. And so when you were explaining the breathing, I was doing it with you. And it is so powerful. Like meditation has changed my life completely. And I'm blown away by how taking 10 deep breaths can change so much about your internal world. And breathing is something that we do, that we have to do. And it's just a simple, perception change of I'm breathing anyway, but how do I use this thing that my body does on a regular basis to help heal me? And I feel like if more people could even try it, even if they don't,
yes,
just
absolutely.
try it,
Yes. And as a physician at the bedside, there are many, many times when I'm listening to their heart and lungs. I do telemedicine right now, but there's a nurse at the other end, and I listen to them, I examine them just like I'm at the bedside. And I can't tell you how many times I tell my patients, breathe deeply. I can't hear your lungs. We have forgotten how to breathe.
Oh my God.
So notice the anxiety come up, the internal chatter, because that is rooted in fear. Do not be fearful, but notice it. You have to notice it. And once you have awareness, then kick in your breathing. Breathe into it and out of it, into it and out of it. Slow it down. And I have seen this personally at the bedside when I'm in person with my patients. There's no computer, by the way. I don't use computers anymore. I think it has interfered with the doctor-patient relationship. It has interfered with what a doctor and patient is supposed to do. So I don't have computers. I go into my office and then do my recording. But when I'm with my patient, it is them and me one-to-one, looking at them, feeling them, asking their story. It's a privilege to know what brings them into my office that day. And I'll even say, what is your number one thing that we should sort out today? What's on your mind today? And often it's not your pain level or you couldn't bathe, or it's really, I need this to happen. I'm worried about this, this, and this. And we talk about it. And then we breathe. There are many times I switch off the light in my office, and together in the safety of that office visit, we both breathe in and out.
Wow.
Okay, and then I switch on the light, and they're a different face.
They're
a different face.
It sounds like the most enjoyable doctor visit you could ever go to. Having somebody take the time to check in with you first, do some breathing. It sounds amazing. I want to come to see you. You can be my doctor. I'll take a plane just to see you. You know,
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
was reading your book, and as I make my way through it, it's my first, I guess, scientific book, you know, that there's a lot of words and concepts that I'm not familiar with, but still the message resonates with me because there is something about that I know to be true in my spirit. And one beautiful message that I'm taking from the book is the creativity of science that I never considered before, and how so many great scientists, you have to, like you talked about the box and how science can keep us in these cages, you have to be willing to entertain the idea that there's something you don't understand and there's something more to life, which is the same thing that people who are religious and spiritual do. I never ever considered that scientists were of that same mind frame. It's completely shifted my perception of it.
Oh, yes, so science is creative and there's intention in science. The moment you put formulas and equations and what you do know, the bottom-up science, I know this to be true. That's what Tiller did. He said,
Mhm.
okay, energy is important in nature. Can consciousness be a source of free energy to do work? And he showed, wow, your intention, once you're focused, is a source of energy. I mean, beyond anything. And he put a number on it. And then he did something else, which is so fascinating. Spiritual practice aligns with the great laws of nature. What is the laws of nature? That's science. And the law of nature is thermodynamics. Okay, that's what we're showing. And I'm using a big word, thermodynamics. What does it really mean? Thermodynamics is the study of energy, heat, and work. Boring stuff, okay? To be honest, I thought, okay, boring, steam engines and consciousness, who cares? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. In a nutshell, the law of nature is this, that everything is going to entropy or disorder. Everything just rolls down to disorder. You and I, Peter, our bodies, our great organs are not disordered, right? Disease is disorder. So how do we keep things in order? How do we keep things in complexity and running harmoniously? How does he do that? And he shows that information, your intention, increases coherence, the opposite of disorder. Your thinking is a source of order, coherence. Wow, that's aligning with the laws of nature. That's very powerful. Spirituality increases coherence. And once you align with that, the game is
Yeah.
up. Now we've got it. We just have to go there. So prayer is powerful. That is the biggest coherence we have. And Tiller shows it, that when you have coherence, inner thinking that is aligned like a laser beam, wow, you're going to create energy and you're going to reduce disorder. You're reducing entropy. That's the law of nature.
And that's also the law of attraction. I mean, the commercialized concept of manifesting your reality is what you're talking about in more scientific terms that Tiller was able to break down and actually record the subtle energies affecting things like the pH of water. And so
Yes.
you are finding ways to say, this isn't just a self-help book from chapters.
No,
This isn't
no.
just a medium channeling energy and telling you how to change your life. This is something that has been scientifically proven on a smaller scale. And then you have these self-help books that are like, if you want to be a millionaire, you just need to think rich. And so I think yes, I think that's possible, that you can create an abundant experience while you're here on earth. but there's a gap between the subtle energy, you know, affecting pH water, the pH levels of water, for example,
Yeah.
and then somebody coming into this blindly, buying a book and thinking, oh my God, by the end of this book, I'm going to be a millionaire, you know?
So here's the thing, what Tiller had shown, and you're alluding to that, is that he asked a very profound question. Can human thought affect material things out there, which is what you're talking about,
Yeah,
manifesting, right? Right?
yeah.
In a sense, that is the ancient law that if you attend to something, if you put your attention on something, eventually it will happen because we're powerful enough to do that. So Taylor says, okay, that's the ancient teaching. Seek and you shall find. Knock the door and it'll be open unto you, right? Tiller is saying, okay, can science show this to be true? And he's showing something profound, but there is something more. There's a prerequisite. You cannot buy a book and expect this to happen. You have to take that knowledge and make it active in your life. Don't make it dead knowledge. And here's the other thing Tiller did in his scientific protocol. And I'll take you to pillar number 4 of that bridge. When he wrote that information down, he writes something very profound. And it hit me when I wrote that book. And it hit me so profoundly. He said, thy will be done. The Lord's Prayer.
Love that
Not
one.
anybody else's will. He's showing that, show me the truth, O Lord.
Yes.
This is science of the highest nature. It's not about let me get a yellow car or the Ferrari or let me get a patent and let me be a millionaire. Tiller is a simple man, a profound sage. He's a profound teacher and a scientist. This is our teacher, Peter, not some millionaire person. No, this is the science that will stand the test of time. Tiller is saying, show me, O Lord, the truth in this creation.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed it to be true. And what did he show? That not only is human thinking, if it's channeled properly, reduce disorder, it can manifest things and change materials. Then he stumbled into something very profound. And that's in pillar number 5. Human thinkingness can shift the very space, the very physical space. What is physical space? That's physical vacuum. That's physics, fundamental physics. It can change the ground level of the field. Now we're going into hard-nosed physics, okay? Yes, quantum mechanics is correct, but it's quantum theory. It's theory at this time. And what does quantum theory tell us? There's a duality, particle and the wave. There's a duality. And Tiller physics addresses that. And he says, Tiller physics shows that wave and particle, the wave aspect of it is information. Information changes how the particle behaves. What is information? We just talked about it. That's your intention.
Yeah.
Your intent can change the particle behavior if you're focused enough. Well, how are you going to get there? If you meditate, if you go to thy will be done. We have those tools. Why play around with this manifestation books? Get clear on yourself first.
Oh my God, I am so happy I get to talk to you about this because it's resonating true to me on so many levels. And personally, I was just talking to a friend about this last night. A lot of people have been, I won't say duped, but like you're saying, you need to know yourself before you attempt to do these huge, profound things. And thy will be done about 3 years ago changed my life because I believed in God. I believed in a power greater than myself, but I only believed in it because I had big dreams and I felt I was destined for greatness. And to me, that was proof of God. And so when I started to surrender to what I actually was, to what life needed to be for me, to the things that were in front of me right now, everything changed. And my life now is not what I imagined it would be, but the things that have come to me have been so much richer than what I could have imagined by just being a star or just being rich.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the surrendering, thy will be done, is like, have faith that whatever needs to happen will happen through you. And
Yes,
you need to be a
absolutely. Let life
conduit.
flow. Let life flow. Don't resist it. That's why I said with that life kit, when that anxiety comes up, notice it. It's fear. Breathe. Go into your heart and watch it dissipate. Now you practice it. It's not even going to bother you. Let me tell you, from my own experience, all this manifestation, we all want good things in our lives, richer homes and salaries and all that. But what I have noted is, like you, I've noticed a shift in my intentional purposes. Now, when I show up in my day, I really, really, and I mean this, I really want to help my patient.
Mm,
I really, I don't, I mean, it's fine to have a nice job and all, but I really am very simple. I really want to help my patient. I pray for them. So my intention has shifted.
yeah.
It used to be, I want this and I want that. And so naturally, when I look back, and it's really remarkable that something inside of me has also, you might say, taken a shift or matured even. And it will continue,
Right.
So and I feel thankful to show up and to listen to them, to really pay attention, because their suffering and their questions are my own. There's
Hmm.
no separation there.
One thing that I do find interesting when I look back on my journey is, when I was in my early 20s, I was partying a lot. I was really self-destructive, but I was having the time of my life, and I had really big dreams. And I used nightlife and celebrity obsession and pop culture as a way to, live in this chaos, but also vibrate at such a frequency that things happen so quickly. I
Yes.
would think of things and they would manifest: opportunities, people, creative experiences, romantic experiences. And I know, because it was my life, that the chaos contributed to the rate at which things happened, because it was just so focused, hyper focused. Now, on the other side of that, I know that drugs and alcohol are obviously not a healthy choice. You don't want to use those to do anything.
Yes.
But do you have any thoughts on that kind of, I guess, destructive lifestyle, or really intense environments that actually speed up intent or influence intent in a, I don't know, a different way?
Yes, it's a very important question. So you cannot see anything out there until you see it within yourself. So all of these destructive emotions are also in Nisha, okay? But here's the thing. You've experienced that. That was your period of exploration, and you grew from that. You recognize it, and you can choose differently now. Okay? You're choosing differently, Peter. That's very important, because that's discernment. You
Hmm.
don't need alcohol and drugs anymore. You've done
Right.
that. It's
Hmm.
behind you now. And that has built an informational infrastructure in you to choose differently. Master Jesus always said, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but the soul of man, it belongs to God. He never
Mm.
resisted anything, but he said, come, choose again. So that's what you're doing. You've done all that funky stuff in your youth. It's enough.
Yeah.
Now you're mature.
Right.
That period has built you up. Okay, you don't need it anymore. And that's very important. You can be a guide to other folks.
Right.
That's very powerful. Okay, I'm not just, so notice what I'm saying. It's not pure or impure. All of it is there. You're looking at it and saying, I choose purity. For once in my life, I choose this. That's a gift.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And being able to observe it from a distance is so powerful, because when you're in
Yes,
something, it's hard to unravel what's real and what isn't, when your life is
yes.
bombarded by lots of things. And
You are
yes.
very fortunate somehow. You've had the heart lead you through. That's your North Star. Okay, you've said, I have had this. intuition since I was a young boy. And that has led you through. So it will keep leading you through, but always go to scripture. Always. And the science tells you you're building your information infrastructure. Every experience, don't label it. You notice it and say, I'm
Yes.
going to choose this.
Yep.
That's all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what a lot of books that I've read do say. Every experience is giving you an opportunity to be more specific about the type of life you want moving forward. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
okay to have turbulent experiences, but use them as a lesson and move on. Some people may be listening to this conversation and they may still be in the starry-eyed phase of what they can personally do to change their life, and they have a way to go to get to the cultivating inner peace and clarity and knowing, but they don't want to let go of the exciting idea that they can manifest money or fame or the person of their dreams. How do you approach grounding, getting like simplifying desires and dreams and intent? How would you approach that?
Oh, that's wonderful. Again, beautiful question, Peter. One of the biggest gifts that we can give to the universe is to be silent. Move into
Oh my God,
silence.
that's so
Okay.
good.
So close the door, close the eyes, close the ears, sit silently for 5 minutes. Can we not do that? Move into silence. Scripture says, and even Tiller, when he made that intention, and I was with him in the imprinting processes, we would all go into silence for a few moments. We communicate and we unite. There's union. That's communion. Communication and union, right? Silence. We commune with each other and we move into silence. Then Tiller would break the silence and would read the intention. And then thy will be done would hang in the air and we move back into silence. Silence and surrender. Become comfortable. Enough of the noise. I'm doing this here. Move into silence. Do we have to have all this noise? Enough.
Yeah.
Even now I'm saying silence, okay?
I think I know it to be true because I've had that luckily move from chaos to inner peace. And it's something that I try and cultivate on a regular basis. But, you know, we live in a world that values a lot of followers on Instagram, having the perfect body, salaries and career focus. So I think even though it's such a simple thing, it is probably one of the biggest challenges most people will face in their life is shutting those doors and finding that quiet time, because it almost goes against every impulse that you have because of the world we live in tells you more, faster, stronger, more beautiful, more money. And you have to like fight against that every single day to keep your bubble clear. And
well, you know, I wouldn't fight against it. Again, it's a resistance. Become aware of your own momentum, your inner dialogue. And how can you do that? You have to have silence, even for a few minutes every day. Become knowledgeable of your own prejudices and preferences. Become aware of them. Then choose differently. Okay? It's not about more, because we are right now in an information warfare.
yes.
We don't even know what's truth and not truth anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
And bridging science and spirit gives everybody a technique to know discernment. Kinesiology, I talk about it. It's about time you rise and look at your own self and figure it out. Stop looking out there. Stop being a child. We're past the kindergarten stage now, Peter. We're
Yeah.
past it.
Yeah.
It's not out there. It's about you inside. And let me tell you another thing. And I've known this for a long time. Your mind is already 99% silent. It's like a vast stadium. Every seat is empty. And in one corner of that stadium is a radio playing. And all our attention goes on that radio channel. Enough of the radio. If your mind is already silent, you have to ask, what am I doing to disturb the natural tranquility? Turn
Ooh.
it around. What are you doing and choosing to disturb the natural tranquility and serenity of your mind? Because nature wants it to be silent. Go there. Well, start to tap into it. Look at your noisiness, and if you're addicted to it, so be it. That's your juice. But I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to show you, go there, go silent. Go silently amidst your life. Be a gift unto your world, unto your own self. Be a gift to your own self. You don't need more information. You need discernment, my friend.
Yeah.
Get with the program. You have the tools, so stop looking out there. And this is, I think, in medicine, I was so bombarded with more journals, more data, which made no sense, Peter. It didn't help my patients. More molecules, more molecules, more molecules. No. And I think, I think a part of me was, and I was one of the best clinics in the world. Doesn't mean I left the science behind, but I had to expand my toolbox. And from that, I grew myself. I was also growing. I was desperate. I was crying out that I think we're on the wrong track here, people. We can't give more molecules and more medicines and more pain medications. No, we need to find the natural inbuilt systems in our body, and Tiller physics speaks to it directly. Speaks to it directly. So enough of this. That doesn't mean I leave the medicines behind, but I use them wisely, and I teach my patients how. So let's leave the kindergarten world and let's build on it. Let's build on our inner systems. It's about time.
Yes. When you started your journey into medicine, because you just said that it was out of desperation that you realized there has to be more. There can't just
Yeah.
be these journals and more medicines. And so when you started your medical journey and started in school and your practice, did you have a spiritual practice then, or was it out of desperation that this all came to you?
What a great question again. One of the things for me was, I grew up in Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, and I grew up in a Hindu household. And thankfully, I didn't have much privilege there in Kenya. It's very simple, very little schooling, but my mother always instilled in me the love of the divine word. So I read the
Mm.
children's Bible, the children's book of Buddha. I did all the Hindu practices. It was very much part of how I grew up. It was my North Star to find the truth. And to me, science was the way to the truth. But it became rapidly clear to me that science is locked into material form. And spirituality goes from a distinct point of view. It goes from holistic way, holism, consciousness, and science about breaking down, fragmenting. You have to bring them two together. So for me, the North Star was seek the truth no matter what. And I brought that. I think it was always inside. Not I think, it was always inside. So when I did science and I brought excellence to science, I saw the limitations and I needed to find the loop back. And Tiller's physics loops us back. It loops us back not only in physics, it loops us back in medicine. I call that information medicine.
You must have been so excited when you discovered Tiller and then got the opportunity to work with him in such an intimate way.
Oh my God.
I can't even imagine how powerful that would be to feel so desperate to look for something more,
Yeah.
discover this scientist who is doing the work that you're craving, and then being able to work with him intimately and bring your book together.
He's a physicist and I'm a medical doctor. We have nothing in common. Nothing in common. Imagine that. And I can tell you he was very reluctant. Tiller said, I like your enthusiasm, but your world does not belong in physics. I don't have any common ground. How would we both communicate? But he had a change of heart, He and I met in Arizona, and I knew, wow, I told you he's a sage and he's my teacher.
Mm.
More and more for professors who do not do meditation is not where I want to be. I've done that. I've been there and done that. I needed the next step. And
Hmm.
Tiller gave it to me. I saw that in our conversation, that this is a man who meditates. I could feel it in his eyes, in his whole demeanor, in his real, just a friendly, he it's like we'd known each other for many, many years. And you know, I think we did. I think in a certain sense, it was that field effect. We were already joined from the heart. So when I told Tiller, I really want to know your work because I don't understand this. I look
Yeah.
at your papers. I don't understand the equations. I don't understand anything of what you're talking about, this symmetry states and space. And what does this all mean? He says, well, you know, no, I think you belong at the Mayo Clinic. He actually said, you belong at the Mayo Clinic. You need to just go back and stay with your medical colleagues. But he had a change of heart and said, if you can translate a little bit of my physics for medicine, I think you have a role to play. And that is,
Wow.
medicine is stuck in chemistry. And I think the writing is on the wall. If you can communicate to your colleagues the importance of energy medicine and also information medicine, then I think I think you can help them see the pathway forward, because you'll be in circles. You'll be stuck in more chemistry and biochemistry. And we're not that. We're not just form. We are consciousness.
Yeah.
We are consciousness. And when he says information medicine, just to tell you, Tiller and I discussed this data in my book in pillar number 6. Your intention is beyond electromagnetism. You can send your intention, you can broadcast it thousands of miles to someone else. He shows why that is possible and true. It breaks everything down. You don't need to show up in a doctor's office with an appointment and all of that. He breaks down that boundary so much. It's like I'm still scratching my head like, whoa.
How did
I
your
still do one-on-one, but boy, if we have shown, this is the very early stages of information medicine. We need to build on the bridge. We need smart people who know math, who know physics, to build on the science part, but we also have to grow spiritually to make those connections even firmer. That's where you build the bridge.
Yeah, and it's interesting because from a layman, you know, you read these books and all of the science, the physicists, the MDs, they exist inside of in one clump in my mind. So it's interesting to hear you say how you two equally brilliant and separate people come together, and you know, you need to find common ground even between you two, and then you have to take that information to your colleagues. And I'm wondering, how did your colleagues react to you suddenly saying, we need more spirit, we need to bridge the gap?
I used to give grand rounds on subtle energies and spirituality. I've done that, stood before very eminent professors, and fortunately, they may not have understood everything I was saying, but something about the truth did affect them. They were kind to me and said, I don't know how to mentor you in this, because at Mayo, I said, I really need time to research this. And they said, I think you're on to something here, but we don't have the expertise to help you. So I think something of that calling out and saying, look, we have to go here, was received, and the seed was planted. I think the newer generations of doctors are going to rise, and they will give meaning to this. I
Yeah.
think we're on to something, Peter. I'm not
Oh, of course.
pessimistic at all. I think the science will come, and the spirituality will be more and more in medical school curriculums. The integrative curriculums are taking root. They're more focused on nutrition and lifestyle, but I think the spiritual practices will come more and more. Yeah, I think it's coming.
I think so too, because like you said, there is something about it that resonates with people. And I can
Yes,
only assume when you see people who are suffering from different illness and disease, that sometimes the medicine doesn't work and there has to be something else. And you hear stories
yes,
all the time about
yes,
miraculous healing and
yes,
the power of prayer. And, you know,
yes.
so it's there. We have the stories, we just don't have the facts. And I really hope that there comes a day when it is all encompassing. How far away do you think that is? Like, what are the things that need to happen before you think this is very, very common? Because right now, you and I are existing kind of on the peripheral. These conversations are so real to us. But,
Yes.
you know, I think about a medical school in Canada. I don't know how far away they are from being like, we need to add the spiritual course. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. Well, it's hard for me to answer that, but I'll tell you that certainly, and I talk about this in pillar number 6. I give a case report of a patient of mine who has a rare form of arthritis called ankylosing spondylitis. He had the best conventional treatment, and and nothing worked. Nothing worked. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of expert care from orthopedics, pain management, rehabilitation, rheumatology, neurology. I think half a dozen or more best of the best conventional care, linear science. He contacted me. By that time, I'd left to Arizona and said, I need your help. And that's where we came in with Dr. Tiller to form a new program. This is information medicine, which was not only taking his wishes into account. I want pain relief. I need to get my cardiac health. I took all of his wishes and we built an intention. That's information, but that information was rooted in scripture.
Mm,
That thy will be done, O Father, okay, for this person. And when you do that, new information was built into this man. And you'll come to that. His name is Mark. That's not his real name, but and then it happened. His emotions lifted, and over time, suddenly, over 1 week, I call him, periodically, what's happening to your health? I do all of the questionnaires. I'm still his physician in a sense.
yeah.
And I call him. He lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And then suddenly he says, Dr. Manek, my pain just went away. I said, excuse me, what do you mean it went away? He says, you remember we had my pain should go away. I said, have you had treatment? Did something change? He says, no, I don't go to the clinic. I'm not on any biologic. And so it just went away. And I think and I give the reason in pillar number 6, when you do information, when you're constantly giving new directive, remember, when that wave is given a new direction, the particle starts to change. It's not overnight. It can be for some people. Children can do this overnight. They heal very quickly. Adults can take time to have new imprint shown. And then the particle suddenly changes and you have a new human being. Remember, your body is always renewing itself. Your body in a few years is no longer the same Peter it was a few
Yeah.
years ago. So to answer your question, information is always crafting the energy and the particle matter. It's the higher blueprint. When medical schools understand this, when we have the right people, the right leaders in medicine understand this, they have to bring this into their curriculum. You can't avoid it. It's
Yes.
the truth.
Right.
I am speaking it. A lot of people are getting on board. And then there will be a tsunami. I'll tell you, integrative medicine in the United States, 1 in 3 Americans use it. 1 in 3.
Yeah.
Did I make that happen? No. Did the universities make that happen? No. Did the professors make it happen? No. Who made it happen? The consumers. Because
Yep.
they're saying they must be more than medicine.
It's the
I
people.
didn't do that. It's the people. they are rising up and saying, they must be more than just another Tylenol,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't make that happen. That truth is the people saying, right, they're saying something inside of them says, there must be more. So give meaning to that. You don't brush it aside. You look at it and say, the people are saying there must be more. They're taking charge and
Yeah.
they're paying out of pocket for all kinds of healing, nutrition, vitamins, all of that. But I'm saying to you, if you meditate, begin to move into silence, and I give one very, very powerful technique in pillar number 6. The body is like a magnet. It has a field that it's magnetic. It's not electromagnetic. You have to get this right. It's like a big magnetic field. And if you connect the polarities of your body, very simple, it's called the Eman circuit. Wow. And I tell you, when I teach my patients this, it's like the electricals, they can feel it. They go, I can feel something. It's like a little electrical pulses in my body. Yes, you're connecting the polarities. Guess what you're doing? You're harmonizing your body. You're
Wow.
harmonizing from the inside out. Do you need all these stuff? You could do away with it. I'm not saying you do. Forget your coffee and your vitamins. Take them if you want, but do the subtle energy work. Wow. Now you're powering up the energy and you're actually amplifying, augmenting all the chemistry. So use the chemistry now, amplify it with the subtle energy and amplify it even more with your intention. Why can't you do that?
Wow.
Well, do we need everything? Okay. So I'm just going, I'm fed up of talking about this. Get with it, people.
It's so much simpler. I know. I know. We really make our lives a lot more difficult than they need to be. We just
It's
need to.
simple. When Tiller first showed me that Eman circuit, I didn't believe it. And then he gave me the circuit. I still have his old copper circuits that he gave me. It's really, I cleaned it, but it's one thing I carry in my hand luggage everywhere. That was the one circuit that I could recharge myself every day, just 20 minutes. It's like I had a powerful meditation and I could get back to writing the book and revising it because it was a big undertaking. I'm not a physicist, but I had to learn and to communicate. It's heavy going. Okay,
Totally.
so I
Yeah.
know firsthand that Eman circuit works, and I'm saying, and I teach
Love
it to
it.
my patients. It works. Do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't need to know fancy stuff. You don't need to know fancy qigong and tai chi. If you want to do that, sure enough, go do the yoga, go do the tai chi. It brings you together in a group. Right now, maybe in Zoom, but whatever, it's fine. But I can tell you, for people who cannot do yoga, they're afraid, they're alone, I tell them, do the Eman circuit. I teach
Great.
that to my patients, yeah. And it's in Bridging Science and Spirit. It's already there.
Yeah, I can't wait to tell. I've already been messaging all my friends to get your book. It's been so great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to power through the rest. And maybe I will be brave and explore Tiller's books too and see if I can
Yeah.
digest them. But
Yes. His books are very high in calibration. Again, when I ran across his work, I didn't believe that human thought can change material out there consistently like he does. I couldn't believe it. I said, how can human thought change a pH of water without any chemical addition, without zapping the water? Where does this happen? How does this happen?
hmm
It's
hmm
impossible. But then I went and he showed me the data. Oh my God, it's true. The numbers tell the truth.
Yep.
But I told you that it's in meditation. He's a very coherent human. Number two, the space is a very important clue to manifestation of this intention. Okay. And I leave those wonderful bridge things for people to discover because we could be here for hours on this conversation.
Exactly. And the discovery is where the magic happens, because it's like you said, when your clients feel it physically. The first time I had that profound experience through meditating, I didn't need any more convincing because I felt it in my body. And once
Yeah.
people take that step forward and they move towards the wellness, they may have more curiosity, but the question of whether or not it's powerful will leave, because they'll have the experience.
It is the experiential. You're right. You don't need convincing then, and it's your own truth. You built it into your own human self. That has more power than all the books out there. You need to experience and grow in consciousness. Okay? And we've talked about this, Peter. If your listeners can just spend a little time in silence, move into silence. Really, that's all we need to do. And become knowledgeable about your own internal dialogue and start to ask, what's disturbing my natural tranquility? And release it, surrender it, let it go. You don't need any control. Let life flow through you, and life will show you its beauty, because you are entitled. It's our natural inheritance to have freedom and peacefulness. We are far more than we're made out to be. We have a lot of power. We're like sleeping. We're Homo spiritus. Not just Homo sapiens, but we're Homo spiritus.
I love that. I think that's a great way to wrap up this conversation. That's such good advice. And I loved talking to you. I feel you through the screen. I feel like I'm sitting right across from you. It's great. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your insight and for writing the amazing book that you did.
Peter, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure. You let me just let my hair down, and I sometimes...
You slap it. It's all good.
How much can you... I implore people, how much can you do, You want to wake them up.
Yeah.
Shout from the rooftops. Listen here, people. Don't be afraid of anything out there. You're always protected. You have the science. You have the spirit. Join them up. Join them up. And then as you grow in spirit, you can leave the science behind. You will be growing in consciousness.